Hello and welcome. My name is Salima, and our focus today is to understand how the management perspective is designed to help you as a general manager or controller understand and monitor how you and your team are doing against forecast, budget, and even last year. So let's get started. This is a consolidated report that gives you an overview of all the main aspects of revenue and major controllable costs such as labor and food at your property. 3 view options available to compare actuals against: Smart Forecast, Smart Budget, also referred to as Target, and Smart Last Year. All these are recalculated based on the activity level actual using the productivity from either budget, forecast, and last year. If enabled, static forecast, budget, or last year will also display in the management perspective. Apart from smart forecast, budget, and last year, the submitted forecast, budget, and actual last year is for information only. This enables the user to not only see the live forecast compared to the smart forecast, but also compared to what actually was forecasted. A little note to self here. Also on the right hand side here of the report, your live forecast here is the actual schedules. So this is what is physically in the cockpits for hours. On the left hand side, revenue related figures are displayed. You have the various KPIs. Furthermore, by clicking on a legend under the chart, the corresponding curve will be added or removed. Now I want to focus on room revenue. I simply click anywhere on the line and it shows up in the graph. The magnifier here indicates which KPI is then displayed in the graph. The figures are imported nightly from various external systems. It's now roughly 8 a.m., so it's typically safe to assume that the figures include yesterday's revenue, month-to-date actual, as well as month-end live forecast and forecast figures. Provided the best guess about the remaining days of the month is reflected in the live forecast, you see what you're likely to end up with in terms of revenue by the end of the month. A little bit about the arrows. The color green means the value is trending positively compared to the view you have chosen in view options. The color red means the value is trending negatively compared to the view you have chosen in the view options, and in this case forecast was chosen. Arrow pointing upwards means the value is better than last year, and arrow pointing downwards means the value is worse than last year. On the right hand side, you have your main costs, namely labor and food. For labor, you have the options of looking in terms of hours, productivity, and cost in your local currency. You are able to change between hours and productivity, and the chart and data tables changes as well. We recommend you start by looking at hours to see how you are doing compared to your smart forecast. You can also add or remove a KPI from the graph by clicking on a specific legend. The first thing that strikes me is the bright color pink, which shows data has not been updated today. And as it's only 8 a.m. now, your department heads have not yet reviewed and updated yesterday's hours in their cockpits. According to PMI good practice, they should do this no later than 10 a.m. By the way, it is typically the job of the general manager to make sure good practice is followed at all times. On the data table here, you choose between division or department level. If we choose meeting and event division, we are able to see on department level how the team is doing so far this month and what they will end up with if everything goes according to plan at month end compared to the smart forecast and static forecast. If you have a look at the revenue here on the left hand side, you would be able to see that it has more than doubled. So then the smart forecast has reacted to that and is expecting you to use more than double the hours than what it was there before. However, you are still above, so that you need to try and reduce the hours. And if I go into the M&E operations cockpit from here, I can see what their schedule looks like. The vertical line, everything to the left is the past, and then the future to the right. So here I already see a discrepancy in the smart forecast versus the schedule. So here is something we want the meeting and events manager to review and adjust accordingly ASAP. Another screen to view is your productivity per division and department. Here it will display what the different departments produce and gives better information on performance than if the hours view was selected. I will choose breakfast, and the productivity here is based on how many guests per hour a waiter serves. You are able to change the periods to months or year. If you want to have a quick look at a specific period, I recommend having a look at your live forecast at year end to keep an eye on the year end goal to ensure your property is on track. Year to the left is the actual. Here I see that there is a day missing from yesterday, so I actually need to check why this has not come in from the timekeeping system. To the right here of the vertical line, you have the future for the productivity. And here my question is, looking at what month to date is and what I'll end up with at month end, how can you expect consistent service when staff workload differs? And what is the optimal productivity level for the breakfast team? For those properties using the food cost module, here you get an overview of how food cost is developing and what you're likely to end up with at month end. It's your food cost as percentage of revenue, as well as the actual cost in your local currency compared to forecast budget and last year. You can even see the inventory as well as your turnover days. And in this case, the turnover days is 22. A set industry standard is 10 days. You are also able to see how the kitchen is currently trending versus forecast and last year. Here you have revenue per operations labor unit, a key KPI for your hotel, showing revenue earned per paid labor unit. And then one of my favorites at the bottom of the report, 12 months on the books. This is where you are today, actual on the books, compared to the live forecast, the budget, and forecast for this year. And if I work my way backwards, I can see how we were doing at the same time last year. I can see what the pickup was for last year, as well as what we physically ended up with last year. So considering the current situation, we expect to pick up the same level of business. Then, looking at the overall picture, I would definitely be having a chat with a controller to actually adjust down the forecast for, let's say, September, October, November, and December, just to begin with, so that it is a more realistic picture based on the current books and historic pickup. Unless, of course, you expect a much higher pickup based on groups about to sign. There are two more modules that could be of interest to you: segment on the books and consolidation on the books. You can see more details of the numbers here. The management perspective is a great supplement to your monthly meetings, as it gives you a complete picture for pinpointing total and departmental performance in terms of both revenue and productivity. It also comes in handy when reviewing your weekly productivity performance versus change in revenue. Thank you and take care.